Good morning, friends, family, coworkers, former coworkers, creators, colleagues, and new friends. This is a tough one. I put out a test video on, I think, Thursday just to test out the new software. And today I'm just doing an impromptu live to talk about what's actually happening here. So, unemployment day 5. For those who don't yet know, last Wednesday morning I was laid off from um, my job of almost 20 years, and so I'm still getting my head around it. And I thought I would share my experience and my process, and hopefully help anyone else who might be going through something similar. It is a lot to take in after nearly 20 years. I think I had potentially deluded myself a little bit to think that it wasn't going to ever be me. And at the same time, I always had it in the back of my mind that it could be me. And so this time, it is me. Now we're just navigating, um, creating, and adjusting to a new normal. I've had the weekend, um, which really was not too out of the ordinary. Um, so I had already scheduled Thursday off as a vacation day to go with the 4th of July holiday on Friday. So I already had a 4-day weekend on the calendar. So when I got up Thursday morning, it wasn't like I was waking up the next day to not knowing what to do. I already had activities and plans, and um, I had things on the calendar for the long weekend. I think what's going to be harder is next week or starting tomorrow when I don't have anything specific to do at a certain time. I'm used to getting up and, being at work and checking in at the same time every day. So that's going to be different. So, just for those who might be wondering, I am not angry or bitter or upset with my employer in any way. I understand many of us had been discussing for months when we thought the next layoff would happen. I know it's just business. It's nothing personal against me. I was a good performer. I didn't have any attendance issues. I didn't have any performance issues. Um, I I know others who were in the round of layoffs that also were good performers, and a couple who were not as strong as others. But knowing what I know, I am certain that it is not any of the things that a lot of us worry about or uh, have sour grapes over, like, oh well, they're just trying to get rid of older people and only bring in younger people, or they're trying to get rid of all remote employees and um, only have on-site workers, and they're trying to get rid of um, long-term employees and all of those things that go through our minds. So, to be fair, you, oh, yeah. To be fair, the only thing I think is a factor there is probably the long-term employees, because longer term employees tend to make more money and cost more in terms of benefits. I do believe that might have been a factor, because the layoff was a cost saving measure, so it only makes sense. They did let go of a couple of people that had not been there as long. They did let go of people who uh, were younger. They did a range. They let go of people from a variety of positions. So, in my case, I do not believe that's a factor, and I have nothing negative to say about my employer or my experience um, in regards to my job or my employer. Um, in fact, the right position opens up, I'm open to going back. My company was good to me for a very long time. And those of you who were with me when I lost my mom, that experience was an anomaly. At that time, they were not letting anyone work remotely. And they were they were good to me. They were very kind. My leadership, all the way from my direct supervisor all the way up to our senior VP, were all very, very kind to me during that time. So I don't know who else needs to hear this, but I would be happy to go back to the right position. Um, on that note, the position that I held has been eliminated. They did take our team from 6 to 4 2 or 3 years ago, and then on Wednesday they took us from 4 to 2. And so I will not be going back to that position anytime soon. It's just won't be available, and I know that. So let's talk about what is next for me outside of that environment. I already sent my resume in for one job. Um, Ironically, I don't even know what job I applied for, to be honest. I was in a panic moment, and I have I know a couple of people who are hiring managers, and one told me that they were actively in the interview process. And so I just emailed them my resume and said, anything you have that you think my resume is a good fit for, let's talk about it, put me in. So we'll see what happens. I did that. I was laid off Wednesday. I did that Thursday. So today I plan to rearrange my desktop space. I had all my work equipment and my personal, my work equipment on one desk, my personal equipment on a different one. And so now I have a lot less equipment. I will be rearranging and moving things around to be a little more organized for myself personally. And any job I get that requires me to have equipment at home will be, added and organized as necessary. But for the time being, I'm going to do what I need to do for, my personal space. Um, the other thing I'm doing this week is um, first thing tomorrow morning, I will be applying for unemployment. So the the thing about unemployment is really weird, and this is where talking about how to navigate the system can be helpful. Unemployment can only be applied for in my state between certain hours, even when you put your application in online. Their site states very clearly between certain hours on Monday through and I think it's 9 a.m. on Monday. I'm not sure. I'll have to look again. Through 5 p.m. on Friday, meaning the system is closed for applying after 5 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, until whatever time it is they open it again on Monday. I found that to be odd. I'm not sure I understand why they do that, but it's what they're doing. So I decided to just go ahead and make that my priority first thing Monday morning. As soon as the system is open, I will do that. In the meantime, the plan is to also make sure, the same as when my mom passed, um, that I'm taking time for self-care every day. I had a friend of mine remind me to make that, not just add it to my list, but to make it a priority. And with what I went through with my mom and the isolation and navigating that situation, I fully agree with her. I understand the importance of self-care and personal time and getting out of the house and all of those things. So that is definitely on my list. Highly recommended anytime you're going through a big life event, whether it's a relationship breakup, a job separation, um, grieving the loss of a family member, any major life event. I do strongly agree that we need to make sure to prioritize self-care and just some downtime every single day of at least an hour. So that's on my list. Um, I have organized a checklist of all the things I need to do, including documentation I need to gather for the unemployment process, as well as the job search process. So I got all of that together. Again, highly recommended. What most of us will need in either situation is going to be either we may or may not need a birth certificate. We will likely need our photo ID, driver's license, passport, some photo identification, our education, credentials, high school diploma, GED, or advanced advanced degrees, professional licensing. Make sure we get all that together in one place. Um, I have done that in the last couple of days. We also, I created a separate spreadsheet for my job search process, giving the date, the company I'm applying for, a link to a separate document with the job description, um, the tailored version of my resume, which is another thing I've added to my checklist, is tailoring my resume for each individual job I apply for. My spreadsheet also includes what activities I've done on what date, which jobs did I apply for, what did I go to a job fair, did I have an interview, and then of course the documents I'm creating for my interviewing process, the job description, um, the copy of my resume I submitted for that particular job application, and my list of questions and answers for that company. I'm also in the process of compiling a general list of questions and answers that one might ask about job culture, um, what the management style is, things like that. And of course, questions I expect to be asked and the answers that I'm prepared to give. So there's actually a lot uh, in this part of the process. But I feel like once I get all of that together and organized, and then it will be easier to update and tailor my resume for the individual jobs once I've done it for 2 or 3. I also feel like, having that list of questions and answers I expect to be asked, as well as the ones I expect to ask, and then also tailor those to the individual jobs, I think will help. So why is this terrifying? It absolutely is, because I haven't looked for a job in 20 years. Every promotion, every lateral move that I've had within the company I was at has been within that company. I didn't have to ask about the culture, the work requirements beyond the core functions. Excuse me. There were a lot of things I already knew. So I haven't looked for a job outside of that employer for 20 years. The process has changed a lot. When I was a teenager, you would walk into somewhere, fill out their local application, answer some questions, hand it over, and you'd get a call back in a few days. Same thing in my 20s. You could just walk in, hand in your application, hand in your resume directly to a hiring manager, depending on the job. These days, everybody wants you to apply online. They don't see you. There's no direct interaction, at least not in the same way it used to be. Even for fast food convenience stores, your local, your local cafe or whatever, food service, everything, they're like, go to our website, just put your information in there and maybe we'll give you a call back. So it's a whole new process for me. When I was young, I was used to walking in, handing over an application or a resume, and having a conversation with someone and maybe having a job right away. That's not the world we live in now. And so as a mature person looking to navigate the new process. Um, those of you who aren't used to this please come along, join me. Let's do this together. We're going to navigate this. We're going to figure it out. I've already, as I said, sent my resume in for one job. I've been checking the job sites for what I will be interested in looking for. I am planning to take a week off without actively looking for work. That is on the advice of my friend. It's what I would have told someone else to do, but I didn't think it needed to apply to me. Like, I'm a jump into action person. Um, within reason. I'm But that I can do that because I've already been thinking and had a plan. So let me rephrase that. Maybe I'm not always just jump into action. I do believe in a well thought out strategy, and I had one, and then panic mode hit. And I did think I was going to jump into action immediately because I had a plan. However, having a plan should also include making time to process and get your head around it. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm taking the time to process, rearrange what I need to in my personal office space, and rearrange my time. I mean, it's definitely going to be different. The other idea is I've had some time open up to get to some things around the house. Reorganize the pantry, rearrange the closet, go through some boxes from my mom's house that are still waiting to be dealt with. So I do plan to make time during this process, a few hours, 1 or 2 days a week, to manage things that I didn't have time for being employed full time. I also plan to do the same, probably alternate days, or maybe a little bit every day. I haven't, we'll see how that works out on my personal passion projects. I have research I do. I have, learning. I have, just my creative projects. So I do plan to prioritize those as well. And that goes into the me time and self-care aspect of things. So I do have a lot to get my head around still. But I do think I'm going to get there. It's going to be fine. I just feel like the best thing to do is to be organized. The more organized I am, the better I can navigate shifts and changes and alternate opportunities. So that's where I'm at today. Rearranging my office space. Tomorrow, filing for unemployment and returning my employer's equipment. I think Tuesday will probably be the day that hits me harder, when I wake up and have nothing specific on the calendar. And therefore, I am adding something to my calendar to And I haven't decided which activity yet. Probably a yoga class. And probably at least one job search activity that I can put on the calendar at set times. So I do feel that will be helpful. In the meantime, thank you for following me and, sharing in navigating the process. So, all of you who are worried about me, I appreciate the concern. I am grateful for your support. And those of you who have never seen me before, don't know anything about me or who I am, welcome to my channel. Join the party. We're all in this together. So let's keep it together. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Stay blessed. I will probably go live again sometime later this week and potentially post an update and or go live. And hopefully we'll be a little less scatterbrained and more organized once I get a little better processed. So thank you. Have a wonderful, blessed day. And I will see you next time.